Welcome, fans and collectors. This is Marvel and DC 379 with another review, and today we'll be looking at Marvel Legends Black Widow. And this is from the vintage retro subline. It's called Either Or. I've heard collectors call it Either Or. And mostly they're usually repackaged, reissued figures, but for the most part, Black Widow is mostly new, and out of all the figures, she's the one I want the most, and I finally got her. I've been super excited, and the vintage retro line is basically an homage to Toy Biz Marvel Legends, the same way the vintage collection from Star Wars is an homage to Kenner Star Wars toys. So let's get into the package. There's the Marvel logo, warning choking hazard, small parts not for children under 3 years old. So I really do care about children, so I don't want them to hurt themselves while playing with toys. And I absolutely love the background of the packaging, and I just love this style of action figures, just a card back and a plastic bubble. I love that. It is nostalgic, so simple yet effective, and I love the comic book art. Really does remind me of Toy Biz Marvel Legends, which is what they're trying to go for. I've never bought Toy Biz Marvel Legends. I bought Toy Biz Marvel toys before, like some Spider-Man figures. And there's that really awesome, badass artwork of Black Widow with her name on top. And there's the figure in the bubble. Blasters, and blasters in other languages. Yeah, they're blasters. And like I said, with the figure in the bubble, there's the Hasbro logo. And here's the back with that great artwork again. Natasha Romanoff uses her fearsome fighting techniques for good as Black Widow. And here's the other available figures, and the description says figure has figure and 2 accessories. So each retro vintage figure has 2 accessories for each figure. There's Captain America, Iron Man, Wolverine, Spider-Man, and Punisher. I already have most of these figures. The only other figure I really do consider is Iron Man, because I did review the original Neo-Classic Iron Man. Captain America does look interesting, but I'm happy with the Captain America I have, and I reviewed him before. Spider-Man, I do consider a downgrade when it comes to accessories. Punisher, I've heard that he actually has a trigger finger, unlike his Walgreens exclusive counterpart. There's more stuff, blah blah blah, Hasbro. Yeah, so that's really about it. So that's enough of packaging. Now let's get into the figure. And here is Black Widow out of packaging. So I'm just going to get this right out of the way that her legs were warped in the package. So I had to use the hot water trick to straighten them out. Like, this one was much worse, her right leg, so thankfully I was able to fix that. This one's a little bit warped. I didn't use the hot water trick for that, but it doesn't bother me too much, and this figure still looks good. So, when I said that this figure is mostly new, well, compared to most of the other figures, this is, but this does reuse a lot of other parts from female figures. Like, the legs I am familiar with. I've seen them several times. Like, I know they're from Marvel Legends Silk and Jean Grey, and I have both those figures. But let's get into the figure. I've always liked this design for Black Widow. It's very simple yet effective. Like, it's a mainly black suit, which is appropriate for the character because she is a spy, and I've always liked how it's broken up by the gold, like her wrist gauntlets and her belt. I mean, I wish they were a little bit more shiny gold, but that doesn't bother me too much. Like, her gauntlets are nicely detailed, like you can see the sculpting, and I absolutely love the fantastic looking belt with her Black Widow logo and the sculpted detail all around. And like I said before, a lot of these parts for the figure are reused. Like, you could see a little belly button on, well, her belly, because I've seen that before. here's the figure all around. So yeah, there's not a lot to talk about this figure because, well, the design is simple yet effective and a lot of the parts are reused. Now, let's get into the head sculpt. And this is what I mean when I said that Hasbro reused a lot of parts for this figure. I definitely could tell this is the Mary Jane head. I don't have the Mary Jane figure, but I definitely could tell this is the Mary Jane head. But it's nice. I like it. The red lips, the green eyes, and I like the flesh showing on her face. And this is a little unexpected. Like, there's shading around her hair at the bottom of her hair, which is really nice. So it's not boring, it's not plain. I really like that. So it keeps things very interesting. So it's not just one shade of red. Now let's get into articulation. Ball jointed head, hinge neck, hinge shoulders, hinge elbow, hinge swivel wrist, ball jointed torso. There's no waist swivel, ball jointed legs, thigh swivel, double hinge knees, hinge ankles, and has a pivot. So standard Marvel Legends articulation for female figures, but it works. And Black Widow is an acrobatic character, so she needs all that posability. She has accessories. She only comes with 2, but I'm okay with that. She comes with these guns. Oh, I'm sorry. Blasters. Yeah, they're blasters. But whatever they're called, I really like that they're not the goofy science fiction futuristic type of guns. I don't mind those types of guns for characters like Guardians of the Galaxy, but for characters who use more realistic type of weapons, Black Widow, I'm glad they gave us these pistols. And I really like the color. Like, I prefer realistic colors like black or gray. I don't like colorful guns. It gives them away, especially if you're a spy like Black Widow. And I think I've seen these guns before. I forgot from where, but I have seen these before. And she does have a pair of trigger fingers, so they're very easy for her to hold in the trigger of the pistols. So you can have her dual wielding if you want, and she looks really cool with her accessories. So that's enough of that. Let's get into size comparisons. And here is Black Widow with Spider-Man. So you could see they're almost the same exact height. So she's an average scaled Marvel Legends figure. And here is Black Widow with the other Avengers figures I have. And if I were to be honest, this is one of the main reasons why I wanted Black Widow, because I've been building up an Avengers display. You can see my other figures like Captain America, Thor, Sentry. It's a little hard to see at the back, but there's Hawkeye, Vision, and Iron Man. This is the original release Neoclassic Iron Man, and I know they released a vintage retro Iron Man, and that's one of the only other figures I'm interested in from that line. So I do plan to build up the Avengers display, and I'm just glad to have Black Widow, and after this review I plan to display her with the rest of the Avengers figures. So my final thoughts, well, as always, I'm going to talk about the pros and cons with this figure. And for cons, I don't know if I would call them cons. I'm just gonna share a couple of thoughts. Like, if you've collected female Marvel Legends figures, you know what to expect because a lot of parts are reused. And the only thing I would say that does bug me is the fact that the head is reused from the Mary Jane figure. And as I said in the video, I don't have Mary Jane, but I know that fact. And if I ever do get the 2-pack with Spider-Man, I will make a comparison. And well, considering it's the same exact head as Mary Jane, it's going to stand out if you have both characters standing by each other. Like, this looks like Mary Jane in a Black Widow cosplay, or Mary Jane will look like Black Widow in civilian disguise. And the gold Although not necessarily bad, I would prefer them to look a little bit more gold, but that's just me. For pros, well, I like how this is mostly a new figure. It's not a reissue, re-release of previous other figures like Punisher, Spider-Man. So I am happy with this, and the only other figure I would consider is the new version of the neoclassic Iron Man. And the reason why I don't buy a lot of the vintage retro figures is because of their low accessories count, but Black Widow, she only needs 2 anyway. So that's how I feel about this figure. I do not hate it. I don't consider this a bad figure by any means at all whatsoever. So I do recommend this if you like the character Black Widow or for the Avengers. So I definitely do recommend her. So this has been it for my review, everybody. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next. So until then, Excelsior, true believers.